Okay, day 1. Hoping to eliminate some of that once we start eating carnivore. Well, hey there. So it is day 4 carnivore, and I promised I was going to come in and give you updated results through it. Hopefully, I'll also be taking progress pictures, but I want to do that every week. So because we started at the beginning of the week, I'm going to take that progress pictures and videos after 7 days. But I did want to give you an update on what I've been eating. So 4 days of carnivore diet, a lot of, eggs in the morning. I have been eating those with salami right now because we are waiting on our pickup for our pastured sausage. My husband made some beef bacon and we're waiting on that to cure. We have been eating burgers. I did make like a beef soup with some beef bone broth and then ground beef in there and a little bit of pink salt. It was delicious. Some grass-fed, grass-finished beef sticks. Today I'm making chicken nuggets breaded with pork rinds. So I'm really excited about that because it's been a lot of beef for the last 4 days, which is good. I'm not actually feeling like, I'm not getting tired of it yet by any means. It actually is really, I look forward to it. I'm finding that I'm like, ooh, I'm not super hungry throughout the day. But when I do get to eat, I'm excited. I'm like, my mouth starts to water and I'm excited. So I will be excited to try some chicken today because it's been a lot of beef. Also, let's see. So I have not had any of the keto flu symptoms like I had last time I did keto. I think that has a huge thing to do with the fact that I started off right away with my elemental electrolytes. So those have sodium, magnesium, and potassium. I'll go ahead and I'll put a link below if you want to give those a try. Those have been great in helping me to not have any of the, headache, nausea, fatigue that I had when I did keto before. My brain is on fire. My mental clarity is really improved just in a few days. I have lost 5 pounds. Probably most of that is just my body kind of flushing out some water weight and inflammation, but I'll take it. I'm feeling really good. My energy levels are high. The only thing I'm noticing right now is my muscles do tend to not have as much endurance and stamina. So we went to go play tennis and pickleball, and I noticed I'm like, I'm a little more tired when I'm exercising. And I think that's just because my body is still looking for all of those carbohydrates and I'm not quite fat adapted yet. So overall, feeling amazing. No sugar in my diet, no cravings yet at all either, which I thought I would have because, we weren't eating a super high carb diet, but we were definitely eating carbs in our diet, a lot of vegetable carbs, but then also some pastas, some breads, things like that. So anyways, day 4, feeling great, losing weight, energy levels are high, and I'll keep you posted on what comes next. Okay, so officially day 7, and here's what happened so far. So I have something to admit. On day, what would it have been? 4? Anyways, it was last Friday and today is Tuesday. So 4 days ago, we actually went out with our friends swimming at the beach all day long. And then everybody decided to go back to our friend's house and order pizza. That's really hard on the carnivore diet. So I just decided I wasn't going to make a big fuss about it. I wasn't going to try and bring my own food and cook it at someone else's house. So I ate the pizza, which was totally not carnivore and was the first real refined white grain bread, flour, carbs that I'd had in 4 days. And I just have to say, it made me feel absolutely awful. Almost immediately, I noticed that I felt bloated, I felt gassy, I felt sick to my stomach. And that feeling kind of continued through the next day on Saturday. I had a headache, I felt foggy, I just didn't feel myself. So I got back into eating more strict carnivore reset again, and by today, 7 days in, here, I told you I was gonna show you real results, is what the scale is showing, but what I didn't show you was that it was at 165 just a week ago. So I've lost 5 pounds, but what I've really noticed is just how good I'm feeling. Now, despite those 2 days where I was really feeling lethargic and headachy and just overall a lot of brain fog, which could have been from the carbs or could have been somewhat of a keto flu, I'm not sure. I am feeling amazing at this point. So I've upped my electrolyte intake from Elemental again. I will put that link below because I'm absolutely loving those electrolytes. They're so easy to incorporate in. And we've been eating things that I really have not gotten bored with. I'm really enjoying lots of eggs, and I prefer sausages versus bacon in the morning. A lot of times I'm not even hungry until either like 2 o'clock, or if we have a heartier dinner the night before, a bigger piece of meat or just a little bit more of the meat, then I'm actually finding that I'm fasting without thinking about it, which in the past has never worked for me. I've always had to like white knuckle it through intermittent fasting, but now I'm just not hungry until around lunchtime or even like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And so I'm naturally just fasting longer between meals, which has been amazing. We also have been cooking a lot from this cookbook, the Carnivore Code Cookbook. Last night we made ground beef lasagna, which actually uses zucchini instead of noodles, some ricotta, a white cream sauce, and ground beef, and some mozzarella and Parmesan cheese. So I know some of you are going to say, but zucchini's not carnivore because it's not beef, bacon, butter, or eggs. But I'm following Paul Salandino's Carnivore Code and his Carnivore Code Cookbook. And so I'm okay with it. I don't have autoimmune diseases. I'm really doing this to see how it helps heal my gut, reduce inflammation, lose some weight, and just generally feel not on that cycle of, crash and sugar crashes in the afternoon, hungry, hangry, all of those things. And that's the other thing I would say going into the first week is that even when I can't eat right away, I'm finding that I'm not starving. Like I used to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. And my husband would be like, get her something to eat. She's hangry. Now I can go a lot longer between meals. I don't feel hungry. I'm not having the cravings that I thought I would. Every now and again, I'll see something sweet and it'll have like a little thought of like, ice cream would taste good, but not enough to actually have the ice cream. Where in the past it would be like, I have to satisfy this craving. So 1 week down, feeling amazing. No like muscle cramps. My sleep's improving. I'm finding it a lot easier to wake up in the morning too, not hitting the snooze alarm, which is interesting. And just generally, I think I'm over the headaches and any of the keto flu symptoms at this point, and I'm excited to see what the next 3 weeks hold. So 2-week update, and I am absolutely in love with this carnivore reset. I don't even want to call it a diet because I don't feel deprived at all. I have had 0 cravings for sugar, really pretty minimal cravings for carbs. The only time was when my kids were eating pizza the other night. I kind of had a tiny little craving, but other than that, I feel full. I feel like my energy levels are really high throughout the day. I'm not crashing. I have barely any coffee in the morning with just a tiny little tablespoon of heavy cream and no sugar in there. And I don't feel the need to have any sort of caffeinated beverage anytime after, 6:30 in the morning. In fact, I'm finding that I'm getting out of bed much easier in the morning. I am going to admit I've been a snoozeaholic like my whole life. I hit snooze probably 4 or 5 times. It drives my husband insane. He's not even in the bedroom, but he can hear it from the other room, and it makes his blood curdle. But I haven't been doing that as much. My alarm's been going off, and I felt like it's just very easy to get out of bed. I'm falling asleep really easily, which has always been a problem for me, probably my entire life. I've been on, Ambien. I've taken melatonin. They've given me all the things, and I thought that this was just part of who I was. And I've been taking magnesium supplements for about a year now, and that really had helped quite a bit. But this carnivore reset has taken it to a whole new level. I lie down, I close my eyes, and I'm asleep. So my sleep has been really effortless. and I'm having really vivid dreams like every single night. Like I will remember my dreams sometimes once in a while, but this is like every single night, and they're super vivid, really interesting. And I don't know what's causing that. Maybe that's more fat in my diet that's really allowing my brain to repair at night. But whatever it is, it's so fun. It's so interesting. So how about my weight loss so far? Well, within the first week, I had already lost 5 pounds. This second week, I've only lost 1 more pound. But what I'm really noticing is that I'm releasing a lot of the inflammation. So I am taking photos every single week so that I can track the progress. And I'm definitely noticing that I'm losing that inflammation. I probably should have been measuring as well, but I just didn't do that. The other thing is we're not being super strict. Now, if I really had a ton of weight to lose, or I had an autoimmune condition, or I was diabetic, then I probably would do a strict reset and just be doing beef, bacon, eggs, and butter. But because we're not, I am still incorporating raw dairy into our diet because I know that that doesn't affect me in any negative way. I'm eating some avocados. Our garden is producing right now, so I am eating the zucchinis and cucumbers out of the garden, but I'm making sure that about 70 to 80% of my diet is coming from, healthy meats that are heavy in fat. The last thing I would say 2 weeks in is I think I'm becoming fat adapted. So I did notice between like weeks 1 and 2 that when I would go to the gym, my energy levels were pretty low. My endurance was pretty low. I would swim in the pool and I was feeling very fatigued very quickly. But this past weekend, I was swimming at the gym, and before I even knew it, I had done almost a half mile in the pool. So I think my body is starting that shift right around that 2.5 week mark, where it is shifting from looking for glucose and carbohydrates for energy over to being fat adapted. So I'm excited to see what the next 2 weeks of this 30-day reset bring. But at this point, I don't see myself wanting to go back to the diet we were eating. I just feel so incredibly good, and it has not been difficult at all. The foods that we've been making have been delicious, and I look forward to them. I'm not tired of them. So at this point, I don't really see why I would ever get off of a animal-based carnivore style diet. Oh my gosh, we couldn't even last 30 days. We failed. Hi, Lindsay Sewell here, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, then you might not have seen this other video that I recorded about a month ago about why my husband and I were going to give the carnivore diet a try for 30 days. And no, this isn't clickbait. We actually did fail at the carnivore diet by, purist standards, and probably not even purist standards. And I'm going to share in this video why it was that we failed, but what our experience was as we did try our best to do the carnivore diet, and what is going to happen next. So if you're considering a carnivore diet, wondering if you can do it, wondering if it's for you, wondering how hard it is, this video is for you. So first and foremost, I way underestimated the power of our social network when it came to our dietary choices. This past month, we had our daughter's birthday, so there was cake and pizza. We had dinners out with friends. It's, the summertime, so there's pool parties and backyard barbecues, and that meant a lot of food that's not carnivore, alcoholic beverages. And then we also took a trip to the Iowa State Fair, and I couldn't resist the deep fried ranch pickle. Let's be real. It was amazing. Now, even though there was lots of carnivore options, pork chop on a stick, meatballs, all kinds of different things I could have eaten, when I was outside of my element, I found that it was a lot harder to actually stick to the diet. Now, if you're not familiar with a carnivore diet, it really is a meat-based diet. Some people who are carnivore-ish, which is probably what I would consider us going forward, will allow you to eat honey, fruit, raw dairy, if you can tolerate it, if you are metabolically healthy, and if it doesn't impact you and make you feel poorly. So the most strict and traditional carnivore diet would simply be beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. And that becomes a little bit challenging over time, especially when you're outside of your house, because there's just not a lot of choices. So while we did fail in the last 30 days, and we did eat some pizza sometimes, and we drank some wine, and I ate the fried pickle, overall, we did try to stick to a very carnivore-ish diet for the remainder of the time. And that meant really focusing on eliminating carbs in the forms of breads and pastas and cookies and crackers. We only were eating our raw dairy for the most part. We were incorporating a little bit of fruit, not too much yet. And also really steering clear of most vegetables, except for things that are actually fruits like cucumbers. And one of the things that I noticed was that I felt a lot better as soon as I started to eliminate things that I always thought were traditionally healthy for me. So things like cauliflower and broccoli and spinach and cabbage. As I started to eliminate those things from my diet, I noticed that I was not bloated anymore. This may be too much information, but I became very regular, no gas, no issues. My gastrointestinal system just seemed happy instead of irritated and gurgling. We also noticed a big difference when we started to cut out things with seed oils, and those are very difficult to cut out because they're in practically every single thing processed and almost every dressing out there. With the exception of the Primal brand, we really fell in love with any of their dressings. Now, if you're doing strict carnivore, they may tell you not to have sauces and dressings, but those really weren't bothering us as long as we weren't using things that had, canola oil or sunflower oil, soybean oil. I really noticed that when we were out and we would have something with those products in there, it would almost immediately make me feel ill. Now, the big question everybody always wants to know is, well, did you lose weight? Drum roll. So I lost about 5 pounds, I would say, in the first week of the diet. And I think that was just my body flushing out all of the excess inflammation that it was holding onto with the dietary choices that I was making. And honestly, I see this as something that I can stick to long-term in a modified way. And over the course of the month, I lost about a total of 8 pounds. So those 3 pounds were in the last 3 weeks. And honestly, if I'm losing a pound a week and feeling really great and not deprived doing it, I'm perfectly happy with that. And I really wanted to do this more to just heal my gut, feel better, feel healthier, have more energy, get rid of any brain fog that I was having. And the long-term weight loss where my body decides to land is really just an added bonus. Now, the other thing that I noticed right away, and that was pretty surprising to me, was that the carnivore diet actually had a really strong improvement in my mood. So I felt calmer, I felt more positive, I felt just generally happier. I had a lot more energy. So in the past, I usually would crash around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just thought that was because I was a mom. But what I realized was it probably was very related to the food I was eating and my blood sugar levels spiking and dropping and just leaving me feeling generally not well. The other thing is that my appetite control was crazy. I have found that became very, very easy just to intermittent fast, even without trying. I would just find that I really didn't feel the need to eat until around 12 or 1 in the afternoon. And it was very easy for me to put the fork down at dinner as well. I wasn't finding myself snacking in between. I wasn't finding myself feeling like I needed to go back for seconds. I was just very, very satisfied at every single meal, probably because I was getting enough protein and enough fat in my diet. Whereas in the past, when I was eating things that were very heavy in carbs or low in protein and low in fat, I just was never feeling satisfied. Now, for me, I also noticed an improvement in my sleep. And a really interesting thing is that I have really, really vivid dreams that I'm remembering far more than I ever have in the past. Now, some people have trouble sleeping on the carnivore diet, and that could be due to the lack of carbohydrates. And so sometimes incorporating back in some raw dairy or fruit or honey can help with that. But for me, it really wasn't a problem. And while I only lost about 8 pounds of weight in a month, what I noticed is that I was really losing fat. And so I had people telling me they were noticing it in my face, like kind of already in my shoulders. I was noticing it in how my pants were fitting and just kind of the bloat from my waist. So I really think that long term, this is going to help me to slim back to the kind of healthy weight as well as composition that I was at right around the time that I had my kids. Then kind of during the big pandemic, I just started, eating what I called my carboholic diet, and it really never stopped for the last 3 years. So I think this was a really nice way to reset and to get back on track. So along the way, I had a lot of people following my journey, asking me what we were eating. So I was posting a lot of this. Honestly, I was really surprised when I made this post about the animal-based smoothie. I didn't come up with the recipe. It's from Paul Salandino, and people had some real strong feelings about it. Like, they were shocked that I was showing people a smoothie with fruit in it, and heaven forbid they have sugar. So that's when I realized that the carnivore community can be very, very, very strict and stringent and really kind of willing to attack you if you eat something outside of the beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. But for me, because I am metabolically healthy and I do feel better when I incorporate a little bit of, carbohydrates in the form of sugars, it gives me more energy for my workouts, and just generally, I enjoy it. I really guess I should just call myself carnivore-ish going forward, because I am intending to continue with an animal-based, meat-based diet, but also to allow in some of those carbohydrates in the forms of fruit and honey and dairy products. So some of our favorite recipes that we ate, and I'll go ahead and I'll put links below to these if I can find the recipe. Some of it I just made up. I'll link the smoothie below. It was delicious. But we really enjoyed making meatballs, and we would have them, we make them with pasta for our kids because they're not doing carnivore yet. But we would just do them with tomato sauce for us. So we would use the Rouse sauce because it is low sugar. And instead of using breadcrumbs, we found these pork pancos. Obviously, I need to get some more. And they really added a nice texture. So we would do ground beef, grass-fed from our cow that we ordered. We would do ground pork from Vintage Meadows, where we order our pastured ground pork, some egg, some panko in there, pork panko, and just put that over sauce. It's super satisfying. The kids love them. So they're eating the carnivore foods with us. It's just that they're still having some of that pasta. I also started making 2 types of chicken nuggets. So sometimes I would cut up chicken tenders, and again, I would bread them with some of this pork panko. You can actually just grind up pork rinds if you don't have this. And I would dip the chicken in eggs, and then I would dip it in the pork panko, and you can either fry it in butter or beef tallow on the stove, which is delicious. But when I was pressed for time, I would just throw them into the air fryer. I also made it with ground chicken, where I mixed ground chicken with this panko, some raw dairy mozzarella cheese, and squished them down and baked them in the oven, and then dipped them in the Primal buffalo ranch sauce. And it was amazing. And even the kids liked those as well. So they said they were just as good as any of their regular chicken nuggets. The other thing we ate a ton of, because we had just gotten a cow, was steaks. We would chop up, sometimes we would do like a skirt steak, chop it up, let the girls make that into tacos, and we would just make a taco bowl. I found white queso cheese at Costco and absolutely love creating what I call my nacho bowl with white queso, oftentimes ground beef, some avocados, or homemade guacamole. It is so good. I don't even miss any of the shells when I'm eating that nacho bowl. And if you wanted, you could actually use these, which was another one of our favorite products, Carnivore Crisps. It's like it is meat. All it is This one is bison. So it's bison, purified water, and Redmond's real salt. But the way that they create these crisps, they taste like chips. So if you're looking for something like that snacky, crackery chip consistency, these were a great snack. But I also enjoyed dipping them into the queso or any of our other, keto carnivore approved dips, and having it like a nacho or just chips and dip. It was delicious. And last but not least, you might have seen me posting lots of pictures of Eggs Benedict, hold the muffin. So we were sometimes going out for breakfast after church with our kids, and Eggs Benedict turned out to be one of the easiest things on the menu to eat carnivore. So we also made it at home. We would make the hollandaise sauce, making sure that it was carnivore at home. But I think oftentimes it probably is fine for you. Maybe there's a teeny bit of flour in there at the restaurant. I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about that. But you're getting the eggs. I would order the ham or bacon underneath the egg, the carnivore on top, and it is just simply delicious. So that became one of our favorite breakfasts outside of traditional scrambled eggs or fried eggs. Eggs, eggs, eggs. We ate a lot of eggs. And the other thing that we really loved was these Element electrolytes, because it really helped us to feel any of that keto flu that a lot of times people feel. I didn't get that. I didn't get cramps, like leg cramps and things like that, from a lack of potassium in my diet. They also taste delicious. And if you use my code below, Element will send you a sample pack of 8 flavors with your first purchase. So you can try all the different flavors. I love grapefruit, but it is sold out right now. So depending on when you watch this, it may be back in stock. It's my absolute favorite. If you like grapefruit things, you're going to love this. If you don't want any sweetness, they also have a raw unflavored version, and we drank this probably every single day, maybe missed a day here and there. So despite failing, what is next? Well, we are definitely sticking with this diet. We're heading back into the school year, so it'll be much easier for us to cut out the alcoholic beverages. We really don't have a lot of things planned in the month of September where we're going to feel the pressure, to indulge in carbohydrates or things that are outside of the carnivore diet. And we have figured out ways to get more creative with what we're eating so that we don't feel deprived when we go to restaurants. We're able to ask people to modify things for us. And also, we're going to incorporate some more, fruits and honey and raw dairy into our diet so that this can be something that we sustain long term. I'll probably do another recap when we've gone through this about 6 months. I'm scheduling some blood work and checkups with my doctors in a few months, and I will give a review on the results of those as well. But so far, this has been the easiest thing to do besides our failures. But I see it as being something that we really can stick to 90% of the time for the foreseeable future. And I really believe that, at least for me personally, like, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you what to do. For me personally, if I can do something that is going to improve my health 90% of the time, I'm just not going to worry about the other 10%. So I thank you for coming along on my journey and sticking with me. I hope this was helpful to you. I'll link those recipes and those favorite products below, and I'll see you in the next video.